You're in the rant wormhole where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by becoming one of those. Joseph wants me to rant about fight scenes in anime that have no consistency in their rules or fail to establish stakes. Definitely a big issue for me because action is hard. Like, everybody wants action scenes. Everybody wants to just watch people fight and see badass shit. But the thing about action is that it is inherently kind of simplistic. Unless you go out of your way to make a convoluted, crazy action set piece kind of thing, you know, something where there's multiple layers of action going on and all kinds of different people involved. But, like, that's not easy to do. And, like, when you see truly high-level action, be it on the choreography or the filmography level, like, it might not matter. Like, if it just looks impressive, if it looks badass, if you are engaged with it because of the presentation, and then that will be more exciting. But, like, most action scenes are not going all the way. They're not ratcheting it up to 11 on presentation. They're just action scenes in the context of a greater story. And when you have those types of actions, that means that they are taking you away from the story to show you an action scene. So, if it is visually exciting or impressive, then that might be fine because I'm still being entertained. But if you take me away from the story to just do something that essentially is the same as every other action scene, because they all baseline are, you know, people are in conflict, they clash until one emerges victorious, or the other, or neither, or they run away. Like, those are the four possibilities of what could happen in a confrontation, you know, in an action scene. So, narratively, you've essentially stopped the story, unless the action is, you know, is done in such a way as to contribute to it. So, now you have to justify your action scene. And the best way to do that is to have logic, to have interesting reasons that the fight is playing out the way that it is, to have maybe some kind of tactics or some kind of, you know, powers that have very specific ways that they work, and then watching those two bounce off of each other creates unique scenarios that you wouldn't just see in any other action scene that isn't just punches and kicks, but there's something higher going on, you know, more layers to it. But the worst kind of action scenes are when they don't do any of that and there's no logic at all. And when that happens, it totally takes me out of the experience. It's like my brain has completely nothing to grab onto anymore. A great example of this is a show I was just watching, the first 6 episodes of, called Ayashi no Seres from the year 2000. It's a shoujo anime with an action tinge. And in episode 3, this character, this celestial being, who as far as we know is all-powerful. She could do anything we could imagine. In episode 2, we see her blow up a mansion. Like, she turns into Mewtwo. A bunch of people have guns pointed at her. She goes full Mewtwo, stops all the bullets from hitting her, blows up the whole place, all these people die, right? So we know she's got crazy powers. In episode 3, she seemingly creates, like, another dimension, and people are in it, and, like, she's, like, teleporting. These scenes were awesome because just in terms of what's happening, it was crazy, it was visually interesting, it wasn't just punches and kicks, it was unexpected, you know, and we're like, wow, this person can do anything. But they were also all one-sided conflicts, and the way the show is presented, that was fine at the time. But as it goes on, we get into more, like, combat scenarios, where people are trying to stop this celestial being from rampaging. And that's when things quickly got weird, because there was no reason that her opponents should be able to do shit to her. She is so powerful that she should be blowing people away. But there's continually people stopping her in her tracks by, say, grabbing her by the arm and stopping her long enough for someone to escape, even though it seemed like she could, like, psychically mind bullet someone to death easily if she wanted to, but she doesn't. You know, she's trying to chase someone and kill them, and they're getting away, and for dumb reasons, again and again, people are able to prevent this. And so it quickly robs the entire show of the sense that action will ever matter. Because it's never going to be couched in logic, so there's no way for you to get invested. You're just waiting for the results. Like, let's say that we were in a scenario where this character is extremely powerful, nobody else can compete with her. Well, how do you deal with that? Let's say we come up with a tactical scenario where, someone has to get the drop on her, or someone has to hit her with a special move that has a really esoteric thing where maybe it'll entrap her in like some kind of extra dimensional prison, or you could come up with anything, but as long as it has some kind of logic for why you as a viewer feel that you are like, oh man, how's she going to get out of this one? And then you're excited to see how that's going to play out. But if it feels like there is no logic, if it feels like there's no reason for why a character will win or lose other than what will progress the narrative, just whatever the author wants, then every time an action scene starts, you basically shut yourself off until it's over. You just kind of feel like, all right, well, the next 5 minutes don't matter because the result is the only thing that matters, because no amount of knowing what all these characters are capable of is going to make you more capable of following the fight, because it doesn't, their powers are incomprehensible. So yeah, I think that it's a very quick way to rob your whole show of tension, to disrupt the believability of your universe. Just a bad decision. Don't put in action if it's not going to be interesting.